That gnawing feeling in your stomach, the anxiety before work, and that just overall negative feeling, it might not just be you. There's a chance it's a toxic work environment and behaviors. Let's talk about the biggest signs that you're in a toxic work environment and what you can do about it. The American Psychological Association says that employees in toxic work environments are 3 times more likely to experience mental harm than employees who are in good work environments. That's 52% to 15%. I'm Cecilia. I'm a leadership and career coach. I help professional women like you get their power back by setting healthy boundaries so they can be more successful at work and, more importantly, find work more enjoyable. Here are the biggest signs that you are in a toxic work environment. Sign number 1, someone is constantly getting fired. It's a surprise, no one sees it coming, there's no discussion about it, and there's no clear signs of why they were let go. That leads to a lot of anxiety in the workplace. It can lead you to feeling insecure, like you're about to lose your role. Unclear, you're not sure why people are even being let go. It's also a sign that management is not investing time or money into their employees to better them. They're merely letting them go and trying again. This also leaves an increased workload for everybody else. There's typically not a plan in place, so the work just gets dumped on everybody else's desks until you have a new hire and you have to train them again. This is a huge cycle that can be quite toxic. This is how you deal with this. Don't personalize the instability. Don't let your own self-worth be shaken by this. The second thing I want you to do is to be very clear about why you're in that role, not just for a paycheck. Are you increasing your skills? Are you getting experience on your resume that you didn't have before? Do you have an opportunity to be exposed to something you haven't done before? This is what you want to soak up. In order to get some of your power back and feel more secure, have your resume ready, just in case. Don't stop networking and having career conversations with people in your industry. This can help you see that there's a lot more opportunities out there, that you're not just stuck in this role, and also helps you see what it is you want to get out of this role before you initiate your exit plan. Number 2, management and leaders act like you should be so grateful to have a job there. This was something I noticed for myself. When I had a healthy leader, they acted like they were happy to have me there, and they were feeling lucky that we were able to work together. When I was in an unhealthy work environment, leadership constantly talked about how happy and glad we should be to be in that role. The truth is, in a healthy work environment, there's mutual respect and mutual gratitude of being there. If management constantly has this feeling that you should be so grateful to be there, they're more likely to do things that don't feel aligned for your role or for you or even ethically. The internal boundary to set here is to understand that your worth is not tied to this role. Understand that you were there for a reason and that you bring with you a lot of experience, passion, or ability. Whatever you do, do not fall into feeling so grateful that you are there. That creates a massive power imbalance. So understand your own worth and that there is mutual benefit in being in this role. The third sign that you might be in a highly toxic environment is constant emotional chaos. I'm talking about colleagues, managers who come with high emotions, be it frustration, anxiety, anger, or stress. That constant high emotional stress causes us to catch emotional contagion. That means emotions actually are contagious, and that leaves you feeling exhausted or on a roller coaster along with them. Sometimes you'll see colleagues or leaders using high emotions as a way to get you to do something. They'll come in really frustrated, stressed, and expecting you to solve their emotion. The internal boundary to set here is that I can witness emotions without absorbing them. This takes a little bit of practice, but it's highly powerful to have that detachment and recognize that someone else's emotion is not your own. What you can do here is, rather than letting them lead you emotionally, I want you to try to lead them emotionally. In that emotional chaos, stay calm. Allow them to express themselves as far as they need, but react calmly. To do that, take deep breaths, recognize when you're starting to get elevated, and actively slow your body down. When you have the power to react the way you want to in a situation, two things happen. One, it brings their emotions down, because now you're leading the emotions and they're catching your emotions. Number two, you appear as the more competent one in that situation. People start to assume that you're calm because you were able to handle that situation. That's a huge win-win. For scripts and suggestions on how to handle highly emotional people, check out my Boundaries program. The link is below. The fourth sign that you might be in a toxic role is that you're constantly pushed outside the scope of your own job. That might mean working a lot of additional hours that are not agreed upon. It might look like doing other people's work that is not within your scope of role, or doing inappropriate things like getting people's laundry or coffee that is certainly not part of your role. This is called scope creep. Creeping outside your scope, and it can start really slowly, and then within a couple years you can look back saying, I don't think I do anything that I was actually hired to do in my job description. And this can really hurt your career, because most likely you chose that job description because you wanted to learn something, or you wanted to get better at something, have certain experience, and now you're not getting it. So how do we fix this? The best way to fix this is through conversations with management. This depends on how far outside the scope of your role you've gotten. Honestly, the best time to catch this is as it's happening. Some of the first stages is to get that clarity of your role. If you're in a position where that scope is now way out of what you were hired for, this is what I want you to do. I really don't think this needs to be an attack, but you want it to be a clarifying conversation using a lot of your job title instead of me. So saying, as the marketing executive in this role, my job description describes this. I want to get back to doing that role a little bit more. I've noticed I'm not developing the skills I'm really passionate about. What can we do about that? Honestly, if you're that far outside of your scope, this can be a slow process, but it's completely doable. If you are just noticing that this is happening, catch it quickly. Set a boundary. Clarify, saying, oh, this feels like something that's outside of my role. Can I prioritize my tasks and get back to you on that? Now, I'm not suggesting to be unreasonable. We all have to do things that are outside of the role sometimes, but if it's a constant expectation, it can certainly lead you down the wrong path. It can lead to burnout and a toxic work environment. Sign number 5, there is low trust between management and colleagues. You're not trusted to work from home. You're not trusted to finish a project without being micromanaged. You're not trusted to take an afternoon off to know that you'll catch up on your work. Low trust often also leads to a high blame culture, where you're noticing that meetings about blame are more important than finding solutions to problems. This leads to a really toxic environment where everybody is feeling very protective, very defensive, and is less likely to have any type of real collaboration. As you can imagine, this leads to really toxic and exhausting feelings. If you're finding yourself in this kind of culture, what you can do is start to work with your manager to find reporting structures that work for them as well as yourself. Practice not blaming others and not getting overly defensive if bad things are happening. Try to find actual solutions to problems rather than figuring out whose fault it was. The 6th sign is unclear expectations. Your role keeps on changing. Expectations change daily. You get contradictory instructions or feedback. You are asked to do something, and then when you do it, no one remembers that you were asked. You're expected to just know how to do new tasks or new jobs. This type of environment leads to high anxiety and constant second guessing yourself. It can really wear on your self-worth and your confidence. This type of environment needs high boundaries quickly. This means there's boundaries around clarity. If there's no clarity, you can't move forward. You start off by asking for very clear expectation on what success is going to look like. You could even start to do your work and ask for feedback as you go to ensure you're on the right path. Taking that power back and getting that feedback can really help you start to see your worth and help your manager start to see your worth as well. The seventh and last sign that you might be in a highly toxic environment is the feeling that you're being isolated or silenced. If this sounds like something that happens in highly abusive relationship, it's because it is. When managers know things aren't quite right, they're going to prevent you from talking to other colleagues, from collaborating with other departments, or from being allowed to speak about your role outside of the job. I had a client whose manager got really upset about a comment she made on LinkedIn that really was not much to do with her actual role. In this type of environment, speaking up tends to lead to punishment. You're discouraged from having ideas or feedback. This often leads to a really disengaged workforce. You might start to find yourself keeping quiet just to keep the peace, and start to slowly feel unsafe at work because of potential retaliation. The boundary is not to stay silenced. You don't need to yell from rooftops, but maybe get your manager used to you having those small conversations. Starting small and breezy can be a really good tactic here. The most important thing is not to stay silent. If you stay quiet, your power keeps on being taken away. At the end of the day, there really is long-term damage to staying in a toxic work environment. Your self-worth suffers. Your confidence in your skills and yourself deeply suffer. And your belief that good workplaces exist can be really shattered. This can lead to you losing passion, drive, or a vision of what you want your career to look like. I've worked with clients who've come out of these situations and accept much lower roles for their next jobs because they just don't have the energy or capacity to deal with anything anymore. So the short-term solution is to start creating those boundaries for yourself so that your power isn't completely taken away. The long-term strategy, sadly, is to have an exit plan, because in these type of work environments, there really is no win-win situation. Something you'll notice about toxic work environments is that the best people leave quickly, and those that stay either learn just how to survive in that environment, to stay quiet and play small, or they thrive in that environment. And so that perpetuates that cycle of toxicity. There's very little you can do to undo it unless it is from the leadership side. If you're ready to set boundaries, check out my boundaries program for professionals. Also, I will be having a free masterclass. Check the link below. Like and subscribe if you want more tips on how to set healthy boundaries to truly enjoy your career.